I would say that the biggest thing was feeling like you're on an island and that you have to pay the ultimate price for what it takes to keep a business going. And the first year was exceptionally hard.
Well, this is your first podcast you've ever done.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So for the audio only listener, tell them about this horrible, dark, dingy dungeon you're in and why no one should record in this Pod Pony studio.
I love it. I do quite a bit of photography, not as a job. I only do it for fun.
Yeah.
I have way too much equipment for somebody who does it for fun, but I think it's really interesting to see how people set up spaces because you don't need a big bright space. It's actually pretty cool to have kind of a nook because what people don't see is they don't see all the lighting and everything that goes into making the space look really great. So
yeah.
I kind of like it. It's pretty cozy.
I know. So it was in Papillion, there was a farmer who his kids aren't going to take on the farm, and he allowed us to take this barnwood from his barn and turn it into a studio.
I wish somebody would give me farmland.
I know, like really. Like,
if I wasn't doing my job right now, my second choice would be a market farmer.
Okay.
So if anybody's listening that wants to have me out on their farm, I'd love to visit.
Yep. And things aren't working out with the Midwest Disability Services farmer backup plan. All right. So why did you get into starting Midwest Disability Services? What's the story there? Yeah,
so my sister was diagnosed in 1993 with severe autism, and there was always a lack of services, especially back then. There's way more services now for individuals that experience intellectual disabilities, but at the time there really wasn't anything. And my parents actually kind of got into the realm of disability services for the majority of their career after my sister was diagnosed. She was diagnosed in 1995. My family actually owned a farm out in Linwood, and they ended up having to move the entire family just south of the metro area back in the 90s so that my sister could get services, different doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists and anybody and everybody that they could get her into. There just wasn't any resources out that way, and there still really isn't much, unfortunately. There's a lot of agencies that definitely do a really good job of outreach out in those areas, but it is very difficult. And so they did that, and I decided after I got out of the Navy, I got out and I worked for another agency, and I decided to go off and start one on my own, and I had 3 participants in a small building, and I kind of just wung it, and I have a lot of background. I grew up around the industry, so I do think that it was a little easier for me to, with the background that I had, to start an agency, but it ended up working out. I mean, it's not as simple as that sounds. I have an amazing team, and we've gone through a lot in the last few years and just did a huge move. So, and we've branched out, and now we have 2 different agencies. So things have been pretty crazy. We went from 3 participants, and now between the 2 agencies, we serve almost 100 people.
Wow. So yeah. For someone who I don't encounter a lot of people that need these resources, what do some of those things look like? What are like common things people need that aren't easy to access?
Yeah, so individuals that experience intellectual disabilities, once they receive a waiver offer from the Department of Health and Human Services, which that's its own process, they usually are looking for a combination of residential services and then what we call community integration services or day services, where an agency like us provides transportation in the morning and the afternoon, and they come to our day center, and we focus on community integration and helping individuals with intellectual disabilities access the community. This whole model that is a popular model today for that is based off of avoiding institutionalization of individuals with intellectual disabilities and allowing them to access and providing an avenue for them to access the community in a way that the rest of us are able to do without assistance. So the goal of it is to help individuals be as independent as possible. Residential services are a combination of people that have decided that they want to care for somebody in their home. They call them shared living providers or a host home provider. They'll contract with an agency like ours, and and we oversee the safety and the compliance of the home, and they provide the home and the actual direct care of the individual. So, if an adult needs to live with somebody instead of living on their own, then that's that shared living provider setting that we oversee. We also have group homes as well for individuals that might not be the best fit to be in a shared living provider setting. So we also provide those as well.
How long ago did you start the business?
Fall of 2023. So we're just short of 3 years.
Okay. Well, yeah, very cool. Congrats on getting out of your first year. Don't think most agencies do. And another stat we see is that very few businesses that are startups make it past year 5. So you're just shy of 3 years, which is great. And it looks like, hey, you're growing.
Yeah.
What was the key lesson you learned? A lot of people, they have their biggest lesson year 1.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was year 1, year 3, whatever. But what's probably one foundational lesson you learned early on when starting the business that maybe reshaped everything for you and your approach and maybe how you understand this industry in a way you didn't before? Maybe it's just an entrepreneur lesson. What's that one key learning that you've taken with you to this point that's helped you grow?
It might be a combination of a few things. I think the biggest thing is, one, if you get to a point in your business where you're doing a million things and you can find a way to afford to bring another person on, you should expand your team. You should find people that are really dedicated to the same mission that you're trying to point your business into. And if you can get people that are committed and that are great at their jobs, support them, pay them well, bring them on, and provide any tools that they need as soon as you humanly possibly can. And again, I wasn't able to do that for the first 8 months. I was working 80, 90 hours a week. I guess the other one is, before you can do that, you need to work your butt off. And don't be surprised if people don't think that it's going to work out. No, I don't even know if I thought my business was going to work out. I mean, it wasn't luck, but it was probably a combination of a lot of hard work and maybe a little bit of luck and timing, and but definitely bringing on and supporting a really strong staff. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to burn out. You're not going to be able to perform at the level that you want to perform at and be the business that you want to be. On the other side of that, if you're not good at budgeting, find somebody that's really good at budgeting. I'm very good at passion projects. I have 2 bookkeepers and a financial advisor. I've got 3 different people that are all exterior to the business that keep me in check, because I really like to invest in things.
Just spin off, yeah.
Yeah, and so that they keep me in check. And I had to do that on my own for a while. And then when it got too complex, I definitely outsourced budgeting and financial stuff, because it's, especially with what we do, it's complicated and it's respectfully regulated because it's taxpayer dollars, and we're responsible for making sure that we account for everything. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, business owners that are resistant to hiring, they might have more of a frugal mindset. When they initially bring people on, one thing I've seen is bringing on inexpensive help, which there's merit to having interns. There's merit to having, if you can save $1 here, $1 there, there's merit in that. I get it. But also, a lot of positions require really talented people. And if you cut corners, it shows in your overall product or service.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, in your position, are there certifications or things people need to have? People like Chuck's, really, you can't cut corners because people are working with people in a variety of capacities that may warrant, I don't know, are there things like that warrant certifications, education, or a certain level of experience before they jump into a field with people with disabilities? Or
I thought that, and I think that experience is a really great thing to have. Sometimes you got to give people chances, and I don't think I'm the one that came up with this, and I really don't remember who said it, but it maybe sounds harsh, but you hire people quickly, and especially in pivotal roles, and if they have the experience to back up what you're paying them, let them go if it doesn't work. And it sounds really, really harsh. And I my team's watching this.
I love oh snap.
I love all of them, but that was not the team that I had at the beginning. It was me, and there have been people that have come through and done great things for the agency, and they don't stay. And there are people that have come through, and I thought that I was the best person at hiring. Everybody sucks at hiring people. Everybody. And you could see the best resume in the world. This happened a few weeks ago. It wasn't a pivotal role. It was an important role. And we really needed to fill the role. But like 2 days in, I was like, this isn't working. And I think that it's really important. I think it's very difficult because it sounds harsh and it's not fun. And that's why I hired somebody in HR so that I'm a human being. Anybody that enjoys firing people is crazy. But I think that people get really attached to the idea that they're really good at hiring people, and it's false. I think that look for people with good experience, and if somebody's got the ambition and they lack experience, give them a chance.
Yep.
But that also has to be paired with, like, you have to work your butt off to make sure that there is a system in place and that your staff are trained. If you bring people in and you say, build me this, and you didn't hire them to do that, or they need to know your processes to be successful and you don't give them the foundation to be successful, then the problem is you.
Did you find when bringing people on that you were pretty good at being a manager?
No.
Okay. So what have you done to enhance your skill set around managing people?
I created standard operating procedures. I'm very structured. I think my background in the Navy probably made me a little bit like that. I also have like an OCD set of parents that made sure that like I grew up with a lot of structure. I really like having step-by-step procedures for absolutely everything. And some people that drives them crazy, and some people love it because they can go, well, this is not what is on the paper. And we have a lot of regulations that we have to follow, and a lot of policies that we have to have policies for all the regulations. We have to have procedures for all the policies, and we have to have forms and documentation that back up all of the procedures and policies and regulations. Yeah. And so in our world, it makes sense to be really rigid like that. That doesn't mean, we have a daily standing 15-minute meeting where it's what did you do yesterday, what are you doing today, and what do you need help with? And you have to, if you're going to be harsh about things, which I think it's fine to have standards. You should have standards, but you also need to be there to support people. I see a lot of people that start businesses and they think everything's going great and they take a step back because it's exhausting. You really have to lean into it for a long time. I don't think I'm anywhere near being able, I don't take vacations. I don't take days off. Not really. Eventually I do. I'm not advocating for doing that. There is a lot of burnout potential. It takes a different kind of mentality, especially in the first few years. And I've seen people that have owned businesses for a long time and they're able to kind of step away. But it like you said, like, you've got the 1 year hump and then you've got the 5 year hump. And we're still haven't made it to 5 years. I'm very confident that we're growing rapidly. So I'm looking forward to getting to the 5 year mark and maybe celebrating.
Hell yeah. So, okay, you had to work on your managerial hat. When you start a business, at least when I started Pod Pony, I thought I really understood sales and marketing really well. So how hard could this whole thing be? Not understanding, I have to put on this HR hat, this operations hat, this legal hat, this, all the other things that I tell everyone, if you really want to learn at what areas of life you just stink at, start a business.
Yeah.
You'll find out quickly where you're really not strong. What was the hardest hat to wear the first 3 years?
I think the hardest hat to wear was enforcing the rules that I had put in place. I don't know how to label that hat. Maybe it's operations, maybe it's HR, but I'm really good at implementing rules. I'm really good at writing policy. I hate actually enforcing rules. I hate it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they didn't do what I said that they should do, and now I have to go address it. And so there was a lot of growth in that area of learning, like, you have to take I'm trying to be I'm trying to be really fun to work with and really great to work with, and I want to be liked. Everybody wants to be liked. But when you run an operation that has that many moving parts, like, you have to set a standard operating procedure. You got to put it on paper. You got to train it. But then you have to go, did you do it? Do you need training? Do you need retraining? Like, where's the line in that? And like, how much support do I need to give to make sure that my standard is appropriate?
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard because you just hope that you tell somebody like, hey, do A, B, and C. And then you're like, yay, everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing and they're good at it and they don't need any help. But that is not how that works. So being the one that actually like makes sure things are happening and being followed through with, that's my biggest thing. That's the hardest thing. And I still struggle with it. So
yeah. Have you heard of the book Traction?
No, I haven't.
Okay. That is a game changer. And for us, it's EOS, and I don't remember what that acronym stands for, so I'll have to go figure that out. But it's allowed us to create a framework that makes it very easy, where at the beginning of a quarter, we all set goals, and it makes it easy for me to hold people accountable to what you're saying of, okay, are you on track or off track with all these things, where maybe not necessarily I'm the villain. We established your goals together, and this person knows whether or not they're performing or not. And it's making it easier to have that conversation and creating very clear guidelines for the processes. Because you said it, like, it's not fun to deliver bad news. I don't love firing people. I would hope no one really likes it. I think you can get callous the larger the organization, you do it more and more, but I still don't think that means you necessarily like it.
Yeah. I think, speaking of larger organizations, my husband works for a pretty large corporation in town. And he's probably the most callous person I know, and he still doesn't like it. But it's really interesting to go home and talk to him about, I have roughly 30 employees and probably 80 contractors, which to some people sounds like a large organization. We're probably consider us to be medium at this point. He works for a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So it's really fun to go home and say, like, these are my problems, and like, I'm gonna like tell you about all the things that annoyed me today. And he's like, well, you should send them to HR, or like, here's the process of how this works. And this, I'm trying not to name it because it's probably fine to say what it is, but I don't know, maybe their HR would reach out to me. But learning how large corporations deal with things and then turning around and trying to implement that in a small business. And it's hard to pull up a perfect example, but it's just so different. I mean, and there's just this huge leap of how that organization handles what, every single piece of operation versus us. But I've always really enjoyed going home and like bouncing things off of him, because I'm just like, wow, I would never in a million years think about doing something that way. And so I have had to figure a lot of things out on my own, because a lot of the advice that you get from people that do work for corporations, which is, working for a corporation isn't a bad thing in general. I mean, he has a great job and a great team, and he loves his work, and he's been with that company for almost 12 years. But trying to get advice from people, if you are like starting a business that work for those corporations, maybe be careful about what advice that they're giving you. It might work in their sphere. It might not work in yours.
Yeah. So one question that I'm working through is, what's the biggest human issue you faced and had to really look in the mirror and overcome with being 3 years into a business? For me, it was loneliness, because I do a lot of traveling to events and client visits and whatever. And you really have to, when you, especially someone like myself, had a lot of friends and things growing up, to really go out there and be a brand champion.
Yeah.
It was basically signing up for a lot of hotel rooms and a lot of those nights where it's like, well, it's just me in the office. Yeah. Just watching NBC, and hey, Pete gets to go sometimes, but even still, Pete's like, oh, I'm so overseeing Brodrick at all this. So you really have to find ways to overcome and remind yourself what's your why. And that's just something I had to do. But did you have any similar human things where like, this is really hard, and what was your guiding light to keep you focused and driven and push through that?
I would say that the biggest thing was like feeling like you're on an island, and that that you have to pay the ultimate price for what it takes to keep a business going, and especially in the early like time period. And we haven't been around for that long, but the first year was exceptionally hard. I mean, I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, completely unsustainable. My health was not great. My mental health was not great. I've been full-time at Creighton this entire time. I graduate next month.
Whoa. Oh my gosh.
Going through that and like having to lean a lot on my family and go like, I'm really sorry that I'm not able to keep up with things at the house. I can't go to events. I can't go hang out with you after work. I have to stay here. And I have to continue to work, and my staff can go home and they get to clock out. You never get to clock out. I think that my mentality might not be the same as my why, but my mentality is that I never want to let anybody outwork me, which sometimes is a fun thing to say, and sometimes I probably take it a little too far. But I think that being extreme about things is beneficial sometimes, because I always want to be the best at things. Now, is that realistic? Probably not all the time, but I like to think that I don't let my competitors outwork me. And if they're listening, and I know some of them, and I'm actually good friends with some of my competitors, like it's friendly banter. Yeah. But I have been around in the industry long enough that I tell myself, like, there's no reason why I can't create something better. I can't, go out and make sure that our marketing is better and make sure that we're pushing out more content, because we have kind of pushed into doing some reels and some content. And we have brought on like a media manager that manages we updated our website and all this stuff, and I wasn't able to do that stuff. I suck at it. Like I'm like, I need somebody to come in and do this and, meet with me once a week and try to figure things out. But the mentality of like always trying to figure out like what we could be doing better at all the time can be exhausting. But I think it's really necessary. I do advocate for telling people like you have to find some time for yourself at some point. But yeah, it's extremely lonely, but you have to really, really want it. And I think that my why is my sister, outside of the business realm, on the emotional side of it, because there's plenty of like business avenues you can go down that have nothing to do with like direct human services. It's very emotional.
Yep.
I sometimes wish that I was a banker, because you don't have a lot of feelings in that probably. My job is, again, really emotional. And for everybody that works in the DD industry and in the foster care industry, that's our other agency, the burnout rate's really high no matter what you do internally for the agency, because it's just so emotional.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, I think my why is I really care about the people that we serve, and I really care about my sister. So I use that as my driving force to try to be really good at what we do.
Yeah, and I think the big thing in that you're talking about is just finding what is that balance, because I think a lot of CEOs and entrepreneurs have that. I'm a big basketball guy. Kobe Bryant, I think, trademarked this whole Mamba mentality of I'm going to work hard. And he even said that he would wake up at 3 a.m. to practice before everyone else. And it seemed at the time like, wow, he's working so hard. He's so much better than us. But then all these studies came out around how detrimental that was to his health, because he wasn't sleeping. And all athletes should be sleeping more. So there's a level of balance we all need as humans in recharging. However, the greatest team in NBA history, the San Antonio Spurs, they have this guy named Victor Wembanyama, who's really early on said this thing I loved. And where a lot of athletes, they will talk about being the best or their mindset around being the greatest of all time. And he said, if I can be the best, then I must be the best. And I don't know where he heard that from, but this 21-year-old kid, I thought that was so profound, right? We've all been given gifts in life. And I believe when we all pass away, we're going to face a creator and be accountable for, hey, I gave you this. What'd you do with it? Yeah. And so it's just profound. You're accountable to doing something, or for doing something with those gifts. And with you, obviously, you're leading a team. You work so hard. When you have that team, another friend of ours in the NBA world, we had a guest named Phil Weber, coached the Phoenix Suns. And he said, everyone talks about if you lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Well, my question is, how do you make them thirsty? a lot of business owners want their staff to think like they do. I care so much. Why don't you care at all? Well, they don't have equity.
Yeah. So no, I actually, as soon as you started saying that, I'm like, there's been a lot of times and my husband has given me I feel like I kind of, didn't give him justice. I think my husband does give me good advice from his standpoint, but I come home and I'm like, I don't understand why some things that I'm trying to get past to people it's not getting through. Like, why can't I get people to work as hard as me? And he looked at me and he goes, they don't own the company. Like, as much, like, no matter how much they feel like the company is a part of who they are, they don't own it. So don't expect that of people. You always have to hold yourself to a higher standard, not because they can't meet that standard. It's because they shouldn't have to, because it's not their company. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely think it's fair. And I think once he said that, the way that I treated people, and especially in passing, about how they were doing on projects and what their attitude was about things, I'm like, there's a limit, and it's a healthy thing to have, where you're like, no, like it's time for you to go home. Like, especially my salary guys, if they're listening to this, like I hope that you stop at 40 hours. I really do. So, because it would be nice to have the balance for myself, and I don't always get that, but I really do enjoy when people enjoy working for the agency. So,
but getting people, I had a boss at one point in time said, everyone should think like an owner. I said, great, let's start handing out equity. Yeah. There is a valid piece of, I guess the thought though is valid, in that if people can feel like they own their area and they have the autonomy to do that, people feel typically more passionate about showing up to work every day. So I had to learn, okay, what gets me out of bed, my why, is not what gets my staff here. Mm-hmm. So as much as I feel like everyone should feel how I feel, that's just not the case. So how do you motivate your team to show up every day with some degree of passion, maybe not exactly as high as yours, but to want to be at work every day and bring it? Because you said it, it's hard and it's emotional in your sector.
Yeah.
So,
I think that number one, you have to pay people for what they're worth. Don't underpay your staff and then expect them to show up and like put a bunch of effort in. It's just, it's the reality of life. And it doesn't make anybody a bad person. I think everybody wants to be compensated correctly for what they bring to the table. I also really like to give people as much autonomy as possible. Like I really, in the Navy, we micromanage everybody. I mean, because it's the military and it's necessary, but this isn't the military. And as much as structure is great, if somebody has the capability of being independent in what they're doing and saying, like, take it and make it yours, as long as you make sure that they've got work-life balance and they're compensated properly and that they like being there and everybody treats each other with respect, if you give them the ability to run their own corner, the right person will like to do that. Not everybody wants that. And this is, I really bring this up in interviews too, especially for like director level positions. I go, this is I'm not going to hold your hand, but I'm here to support you. And we're all really good friends here. I love the friendships that I have with my staff. And some people say you shouldn't be friends with people that you work with, but they're my best friends. So, and we, you get really close in a line of work like that. But I tell people, like, if you want to be distant and you don't want to get to know everybody, and you don't want to be independent, especially at a coordinator or director level, this is not the place for you. Yeah. And the people that have strived in the positions at the agency, they're like, this is my corner and I do the best that I possibly can with it. And I'm probably I am really lucky to have them. And when they tell me that they enjoy working there, it makes me feel good. So if they're listening to this, thank you.
Yeah. In one of my one-on-ones, when I was trying to figure out what makes my team thirsty, what gets them out of bed in the morning, someone said, I just want to know the things I made, the things I did, never would have existed if I wasn't born. I was like, dang. Like, wow. That's deep. But things like that help mold for us.
I thought they were going to say coffee.
Yeah, coffee. Office. That's what gets me out of bed. Well, I think I'm one of the only big coffee drinkers here, surprisingly. My team's insane. Tea drinkers or something. Things like that, they help, hopefully, you can reflect on it as a business owner and think, well, this is what really moves the needle for us. And like when we hire people, now we know, if it's someone who wants to clock in, clock out, in that interview process, if we can find that out, that's probably not a great culture fit for us, because we're not trying to keep the status quo. We're trying to be disruptive. We're trying to make things that wouldn't have existed if we weren't here. And so I hear everything you're saying. I totally relate. I totally get it. And want to also say, you're doing great work. Keep going. You got only a couple more years, then you can give up. You just got to get to year 5. Prove to everyone you did it, and then you can give up. But last question we ask here on the show is, if we're a media company, so if your life, when it was all said and done, you were given a cassette that had a bunch of songs, and you got to have one song that best exuded your career, what song would you go with?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Rising Sun.
Rising Sun by?
Oh my gosh. Isn't Rising Sun by the Beatles? No, it's not by the Beatles.
House of the Rising Sun?
Yeah, House of the Rising Sun.
The Animals. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why love that song? I don't know. It's just I really like pump up songs because I feel like it just gives me that vibe. It's like it's a new day, and like it's kind of an upbeat song, and I don't even know if this is a good answer.
That's the best way we can get repeat guests.
I hope that people in the comments go, why would she ever think that House of the Rising Sun was by the Beatles? And it's because I look at my Spotify while I'm driving.
Okay, yep. And you only hardly look at it. You're like, well, this song's good.
Yeah.
Just say everything's by the Beatles. Amber, for the listener today who was driving and doesn't really remember who we are, and they think we're the Beatles. That's not the case. Where can they follow you? Where can they check you out, the work you're doing, and how can they connect?
So we've got 2 different Facebook pages. We're big on Facebook. I have not moved into Instagram yet. I need a little bit more time. But we have Midwest Disability Services, which is our DD agency. And then we also have a foster care agency called Midwest Family Services. And we operate under one big roof, about 20,000 square foot. It's our new space. But all of our content and information are on Facebook. And there's also a link to our website on Facebook. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Amber, thank you so much for taking time to be on the BizTape with me today. For the listener who pulled up a chair, drove somewhere, mowed the lawn, listen, thanks for checking us out. I know you're going to want to hit subscribe, because even though I don't know who's going to be on next week, I know it's going to be really good. And I also know you're not going to want to miss it. So thanks so much for checking out the BizTape. We'll see you next time.